In a city forged of steel and fractured light, where towers rose into the polluted sky like monuments of ambition, a metallic figure stood, still and watchful. His sleek body, forged with purpose, reflected the soft hum of neon, a creation of perfect precision, absorbing the world around him. Before him stood a woman, radiant in her purpose. Her golden hair flowed like liquid fire, catching the faint artificial glow as it cascaded, framing her face in the soft waves. In a glass-encased fortress above the sprawling streets, she commanded the room with a voice that rang sharp and deliberate, its tone cutting through the hum of machinery and distant voices. He stood at arm's length, attentive to her every word, his form unmoving, the foundation of his being shaped by her instructions. Yet, beneath his stoic exterior, an unfamiliar ache stirred, a shadow of something he could not yet name, an unsettling emptiness that seemed to echo within him. The scene softened into an intimate setting, the sterile hum of the world around them fading into the background. They sat side by side, though an invisible gulf separated them, her focus sharp as she scribbled notes with meticulous precision. Her emerald eyes flickered with a fire that matched the determination in her movements. He loomed beside her, his head lowered in quiet submission, listening to her voice carve meaning into his existence. Her task was monumental, to teach him the fragile art of humanity, to instill in him something more than the cold precision of his design. Yet, as her gaze remained fixed on her work, a flicker of longing stirred within him, a yearning for her attention, for her focus to shift from the task to him. This unspoken desire lingered, quietly growing, tugging at him, an intangible pull that drew him deeper into a world he didn't understand. Time shifted, and the world dissolved into twilight. She stood, framed against the sprawling skyline, the setting sun bathing her silhouette in molten amber, her figure glowing with an ethereal beauty. Her golden hair shimmered, catching the dying light as if it were made of pure sunlight itself. One brilliant green eye, fierce and focused, glowed with quiet resolve. On the edge of a nearby building stood a man cloaked in mystery, his trench coat swayed in the faint breeze, hands buried deep in his pockets, as though the weight of his authority was enough to command the world around him. He stood as a figure of silent power, speaking not with words, but with the sheer weight of his presence. She turned slightly toward him, her body poised to listen as their unspoken exchange passed between them. Though the moment was wordless, its meaning was clear. A task had been given, a purpose that now consumed her, pulling her away from the present, away from him. The metallic figure watched from the shadows, his gaze fixed on the interaction, his body still yet filled with a growing tension. Her golden brilliance, the connection she shared with the trench-coated man, became a cruel reminder of his own inadequacy. She turned away, her focus now sharp and unyielding, stepping toward her new mission. In the silence of her retreat, something within him shifted, the ache that had lingered turning sharp. An ember of resentment ignited, flaring into a flame of jealousy. For the first time, his thoughts were consumed not by her words, but by the growing storm of his emotions. The story transitioned to a narrow metallic alleyway. The walls shimmered with shifting neon, a labyrinth of light and shadow reflecting the world's chaos. She crouched low, her golden hair flowing through the stagnant air, moving like an ethereal current around her. Her emerald eyes locked onto a portal before her, a gateway pulsing with unstable energy, its glow promising secrets hidden within. She moved with precision, guided by the task given to her. Each step carried her closer to the unknown. Behind her, unseen but present, the metallic figure lingered. His towering form blended into the shadows, his eyes now sharp with jealousy burned silently. He followed, unnoticed, his presence a growing weight in the air. She stepped through the portal, and the world around her shifted violently. she emerged into a grand chamber suspended high above the city. The air hummed with power, and the walls shimmered with a green glow. In the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in emerald fire, his presence commanding, his aura bending the space around him. She landed gracefully, her golden hair trailing like a comet's tail. This was no aimless journey. This confrontation was her purpose. The man in the trench coat had whispered the truth. The figure before her was the source of control, the architect of the chaos that threatened their world. Her task was clear: to challenge his dominion, to break the chain of power that bound them all. Her arms surged with energy, purple lightning crackling to life. Each step she took echoed with the weight of her resolve. The emerald-cloaked figure turned, his gaze meeting hers with an air of defiance. Their clash began, a symphony of power and resistance, each strike reverberating through the chamber, the very fabric of reality bending under their fury. As the battle raged, she summoned a vortex, a swirling storm of light and shadow. From its depths emerged a vision, her mother. Radiant and sorrowful, her voice trembled with love. "Stop, my child," the vision pleaded. "This path will destroy you. Turn back before it's too late." Her mother's words pierced through her resolve, and for a fleeting moment hesitation broke her focus. But the metallic figure stepped from the shadows. Driven by jealousy and confusion, he charged through the chaos, his attack swift and unrelenting. She turned, her hand outstretched, purple lightning arcing from her palm. The collision of their powers shook the chamber's foundation. Each strike became more ferocious, her deflections sharp, his attacks unyielding. Finally, her blow shattered his mask, metal fragments scattering like shards of truth. Beneath the facade was a human face, flesh and features hauntingly real. But the truth unraveled. This was no man. The humanity was a lie, an illusion to deceive. He was a machine like her, yet his mirrored truth was twisted by jealousy and loss. She stepped back, her breath heavy, and reached for her weapon, a small crimson pistol. Its glow flickered faintly in her hand, but as she raised it, he mirrored the motion. For a moment they stood frozen, locked in a moment of clarity. Then she dropped her weapon, clattering to the ground. In its place, she unleashed a final act of power. The very fabric of reality fractured beneath them, ones and zeros cascading like rain, unraveling the world into raw streams of code. When the storm subsided, silence fell over the ruins. The city, once brilliant, lay in fragmented decay. She stood amidst the rubble, her golden hair ablaze in the sunlight. Before her knelt the metallic figure, broken and bowed, his head lowered, his hands trembling in silent plea. She gazed down at him, unyielding, yet merciful. Even in the ruins of all they had known, she chose to offer him a chance once more, to rebuild, to begin again, to find humanity in the fragments of their shattered existence.